welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I would like to welcome you each on an adventure with me. I'm outside in the side yard looking for pine cones to make scented pine cones. Show y'all how to do it. Elizabeth, take note. You can do this too, and it don't cost anything. Gather your pine cones. And I'm still looking for low-hanging pine limbs. Haven't found any yet, but I know they're out here somewhere. But gather up your pine cones, everyone, and I will bring y'all back. Alright, they're laying all over the ground. They're wet now, but we're going to take them in and dry them. They're just everywhere. Everywhere. They're everywhere. Just gather your pine cones. Little ones, big ones, medium ones. See, they're just laying there. Free. Gather them. Gather them. Find them. They're all over the ground. You got pine trees around you, you should have pine cones. Alright. I'm going to keep gathering before it gets too dark. See y'all back in the house. Okay, welcome into the house. Alright. In my strainer. If your pine cones are dirty, run a sink of warm, very sudsy water. Wash your pine cones. Make sure that they're dirt free and just wash them real good. Don't scrub them or nothing. Just roll them around in the water. Let them soak for a little bit if they're really dirty. And then take them out, put them in a colander, rinse them very well. Make sure there's no more suds forming in the water. Alright, I have my oven preheating to 175. Use a cookie sheet. My oven's ready. Use a cookie sheet and definitely line it with aluminum foil. Don't use parchment paper, aluminum foil. Then what we're going to do is place the pine cones on the baking sheet. And use a low temperature. And like I said, pine cones of all sizes, all shapes. No pine cone left behind. All of them. Man, these little pine cones are sharp. See, I even left some that were joined by limbs, little wood branches. Now, half of these, I'm going to show y'all two methods of making scented pine cones. Now, you've washed them real good in really good soapy water. That will get the dirt, the mold, the bacteria, whatever, off of your pine cones. We're going to dry them. They're going to open up. And it also gets rid of any little critters that might be in your pine cones. See, even little baby pine cones. Don't leave them behind either. Like I said, no pine cone left behind. And you can use great big pine cones. Now, if you live in an area that you don't have any pine trees around you, you can buy unscented pine cones and do this yourself. But just know that the ones you buy in the store or so are already cleaned, so you don't have to go through this process. Alright, I'm going to put them in the oven. Depends on how long it takes for them to dry. Just keep an eye on them. Do not let them burn. I'm getting pine needles off of them and grass. Do not let your pine cones burn. You're going to let them dry for 30 minutes to an hour. While these are drying, I'm going to bring you back and we're going to make the first method of scenting pine cones and get that tea ready to make. I'll see you back here in just a little bit. Okay, for this part, the first part of scenting pine cones, I did not go out by anything specifically for this. I am using just what I have in stock. You can do the same thing. You're going to need a good size stock pot. I have it 3/4 of the way full of water. We're making a very strong scented like tea. I have pieces of nutmegs that I have used, and the ends and stuff are open. Guess what? Into the pot it goes. Got my scissors. Hold on. Okay. Bay leaves. These are some old bay leaves I found. It's not quite the right scent for bay, but guess what? They still smell good. And these are old ones. So guess what? A good size pinch into the pot. Use what you have in stock. Cloves. A good size handful into the pot. And I have the pot on. You're wanting to make, you're going to let this brew while the pine cones are drying. I've been needing to open this and put it in jars. Star Anise. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Don't use it. Oh, it smells so good, y'all. Handful into the pot. Now, hard lesson learned a while ago. Let me get my Sharpie marker. Big old bag of dried something. I know what they are now. Kind of look like oranges, kind of look like lemons. Took the smallest one out, popped it in my mouth. Lesson learned. They are definitely lemons. So now the bag is labeled. Lord, let me tell you about pucker factor. Now if you got dried oranges, you got dried lemons, use what you want. What do you want your pine cones to smell like? I have bukus of dried lemons, so I'm going to put a good handful into the pot. Now, if you want some vanilla scent, hold off on that until the pine cones are ready to go into the tea and the tea has set up. Now, I am apparently cinnamon stick poor. I do not have any cinnamon sticks. But guess what I do have? A bunch of powdered cinnamon. I have an empty tea bag. This will keep the powdered cinnamon from escaping, hopefully. You're going to want to make sure, don't try to use no tea ball, because that is a waste of time. You want to use a tea bag or a piece of muslin, something that can hold in fine powder but still let it steep in the water. Now you can get away with just using a tablespoon of cinnamon. It depends on how strong you want the cinnamon scent to be. And of course, there's many other holiday time spices that you can use. All right, guess what? Into the pot. Anybody can do this. You should have baking spices in your pantry, in your spice cabinet. Now, I'm gonna hold on. I gotta get a spoon. Okay, gently. You want to stir this gently. One thing you do not want to do is bust the cinnamon tea bag. That's going to be a hot mess. You want this tea, it's not going to be drank because you're not going to be able to drink it after you put the pine cones in. You want this tea or concoction to be very strongly scented because this is the first way of scenting pine cones and doing it naturally. Because those scented pine cones you buy in the stores, they are synthetically scented. And if you're trying to make your home and yourself healthier, this is the way to do it. Now, your house is fixing to smell really, really good. Put a lid on it, bring it up to a simmer, cut your temp down, and let it simmer for at least 10 minutes. Do this while the pine cones are getting dry in the oven. And I will bring you back when the pine cones are dry. Keep checking, stir this occasionally. If you're like me and have to use cinnamon powder, stir gently. Cinnamon sticks you don't have to be as gentle with. Well, you don't have to be gentle with it, but you want to make sure that this water gets really strongly scented. And like I said, anything holiday baking scented, spice-wise, put in that pot. Alright, I'm going to bring you back as soon as the pine cones are done. Okay, the pine cones are fairly dry. Now, some pine cones will open up. See, like this one. This one, it's still a little moist, but it's open. That means a lot of the water is gone out of them, which is a good thing because pine cones are porous. The more dry you can get them, the more they will soak in the scent. And some of them are just stubborn and don't want to open up. But you need to be gentle with them. That's why I have these cute little tongs. Thank you, Gigi Deb. Alright, the tea is done. Now, if you want to, I'm not real great big on vanilla scent, but now this you don't have to if you ain't got it to spare. But I add about 2 teaspoons of it when I'm fixing to put the pine cones in because vanilla can evaporate. Oh, that smells so good. Now, pine cones are still very warm. Tea is very hot. Choose your pine cone. Plop. Plop it in the tea. Make sure they get in that tea real good because you want to do it as soon as you can because once they start getting wet, they'll close back up. And you want to get them down in that tea, soaking up all of that scent. And see, even that piece of stem will soak in the scent. Just about anybody, as long as you have a good herb and spice selection for the holidays in your pantry, you can make these. These are not hard at all to do. Come on, little one, you going in too. I'm trying to get the more open ones so they'll soak in that wonderful, wonderful tea. Now, it's not hard to do, y'all. It's not hard. I want to leave some to do with the essential oils. Okay. Now, I want to make sure these are stirred in the tea very well and that they stay submerged. And be careful of those tea bags. They rip easy. And be gentle with the pine cones because they're fragile too. Now, if you have a smaller size saucer that's, heat proof, you can put the saucer in and it'll hold the pine cones under the tea brew, or also known as concoction. Scented concoction. I think I'm going to get a saucer there floating pretty good. See, all I'm going to do is just weight them down. Push it down a little bit. Alright, I'm going to cover them up and leave them in there for 30 minutes to an hour. Because you want them to get really saturated with all that wonderful scent that's in that concoction. Alright, I'm going to get these ready, get my oils, essential oils ready, and I will bring y'all back and we're going to get started on round 2. I'll bring you back for this one after a while. Okay, I decided to finish these pine cones before I started the second method of scenting pine cones. These have set for almost an hour, and you're going to want to be careful because this tea is still hot. Oh, that smells so good. And watch out, your plate is going to be hot too. And what you're going to do is just gently pull the pine cones out. You want see how they've shut back up. You want to make sure that you have a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil and paper towels. And you're going to slowly pull them out. Oh, they smell so good, y'all. And of course, they're going to be closed back up, so don't worry about that. Because as they dry, again, they'll open back up. But they are completely saturated. And you need to be very careful because they're going to be very hot. There's the little double one. The little bitty one. And you want to give enough room so that they can air dry. And see how easy it is? Oh, they smell good, y'all. They smell so good. You want to take any pieces of lemon or cloves off of them. Okay, let me get the spoon. Okay, now do not, do not try to drink this tea whatsoever. Not whatsoever. It is not for consumption. And you can see they're already starting to dry. Oh, and they smell so good, y'all. Now, do not waste this scented concoction. Let it cool down. You can, yep, see there's a clove. Throw that back in the pot. Let this cool down. Now you can choose to strain it, or I would leave all the goodies in it. You can store it in a jar in the fridge for a week or so, because eventually you're going to need to redo the whole process. Not in the oven, but heat up the tea, soak your pine cones back in it to rescent them. Now, once this cools down, you can also freezer, Ziploc bag it, or put it, strain it, put it in a milk jug, freeze it, or so on. I try to leave all the peels, all the the anise, no, not anise. Everything I use, the cloves and nutmeg, I try to leave it in there. So you can re-soak these. Keep using the liquid. But don't waste it. It's still good to do more. Or you can go get more pine cones and redo the process and keep making more pine cones. Simple, easy, homemade. You can do this, and it's going to save you so much money when you just use what you have in stock. I did not buy anything special for this. Now, like I said, you got to be careful. The pine cones are fragile until they dry. Once they're dry or close to being dry, you might want to turn them every so often. Ha, another clove back in the pot. Turn them every once in a while. Let them dry, and then you can put them in a basket, put them in an arrangement, or so on. And these will scent your room very nicely. They're not a strong, overpowering scent, but they are scented. And this is an easy way to do it that should not cost you any money except the electricity or gas to make the tea. Alright, I'm going to put these where they can dry some more. Like I said, you want to flip them every once in a while so they can dry a little more. And of course, as they dry, they will open up a little bit. These don't open up a whole lot, but if you got the bigger pine cones, they will. But these are saturated with scent. and you can easily make your home smell good. Alright, I'm going to move these. I'm going to let the tea continue to cool down. I'll take care of that later. Like I said, baby them because they're a little fragile now. And I'm going to get ready for the second batch to show you how to do them. Bring you back here in a little bit. Okay, now on to the second way of making your own scented pine cones. Now, it has nothing to do but except using essential oils. Now, you're going to need a gallon Ziploc bags. Of course, your cleaned and dried or mostly dried pine cones and whatever essential oils you want to use for the holiday season. Now, personally, I do one kind of oil per pine cone, put them in the bag, mix them all up, and let them all scent one another. So, my first pine cone, and I do it over the Ziploc bag. I just drop, this is pine essential oil, and I usually do about 15 drops. Make sure, as you notice, I have the lids of the bottles next to the bottle. So each time I grab one, I put it back exactly where it came from. Next one is orange essential oil. Now, if you want to just keep it one scent, do all of them the same scent. If you want to do two different scents and keep them separate, you have two separate Ziploc gallon bags. I like to mix it all up. I have so much cinnamon essential oil, I can be a little freer with it. Whew, yep, that's cinnamon. And then I have sandalwood. But use what you have. You could do like the three holy gifts: sandalwood, frankincense, and myrrh. And just dose up the pine cones as best you can. This is just going to be a wild mix here. And this one is frankincense. And if your pine cones are open, you want to try to get them in and get the oil inside where it's open. That way it will soak up that oil. I pretty much tend to like more woodsy, foresty smells. So I've got patchouli here. Remember, good patchouli oil. And these are essential oils, not fragrance oils. So they're all natural. Your fragrance oils, they are synthetic. And that is how a lot of people have allergic reactions and so on, because they're fake and God only knows what they're made out of. Now, orange essential oil is really good to use. So is tangerine. Oh, tangerine smells good. These little pine cones, they don't like to open much at all. So you just have to kind of dose them on the outside. And the reason I do it in a Ziploc bag is that way if any oil doesn't hit the pine cone, it goes down in the bag. Next, another good one is lemon. So if you wanted to do just citrus ones, I'll do lemon, orange, and tangerine. If you don't have lemon, you could use lemongrass. Make it whatever scent you want. Let's see, tangerine. Yeah, my favorite of all, cedar. This is cedar wood. So, now, if your pine cone starts kind of falling apart, that's okay. Just take them well, you could throw them in the bag. They'll get scented. And I want to do several that has cedar. And I said, put the bottle right back next to the top. That way you don't get cross contamination of your essential oils. And that way you keep them pure. Next one is clove. This one you got to be careful with because clove can be overpowering, just like nutmeg. And try not to get it on your fingers. Okay, I'm going to pause and I'm going to go wash my hands. I'll be right back. If you get any essential oils on your hands, you need to be careful. Some of them can cause allergic reactions or rashes, so you want to wash your hands well. Alright, and you just want to toss. Of course, be careful, they'll poke a hole in your bag. Just toss your pine cones all around. That way they get all of the scent all over them. And you're going to let them sit in your bag for at least 2 days, up to longer. Depends on how strong you want it. It's getting a little closer to Christmas. So anywhere 2 to 4 days is fine. They're not going to dry. They're not going to be dry. Now, whatever you put these, like in a basket, try not to use plastic. Use something that's breathable, like a weaved, uh, a wooden basket, something, a fabric basket, something that you don't mind it getting essential oil on. And I'm going to finish these up with cedar. And I think I'm going to do cedar and my patchouli. Cedar, patchouli. I think I'm going to use a little orange too. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I have another bag and I've got my cedar wood. I think I'm going to put these in a little basket in the bathroom. Let's see, how many pine cones do I have? 2. Okay. I'll do 3 cedar woods. Little guy. Don't want to leave the little guy out. Don't want it to be left alone. Okay. Once I'm done with cedar wood, lid goes back on. Patchouli. I'm doing 3 cedar woods, 3 patchoulis. Now, understand, if you don't have essential oils, you don't have to go wild buying them unless you just want to. I'm using what I have in stock. And I have more essential oils I could have used, but I just grabbed what I had most available. I just didn't want to go to digging for them all. Patchouli done. Lid goes back on patchouli. I'm going to do 2 oranges. And that means orange essential oil. Okay. Close up the bag. Now, if you wanted to, you could write on the baggie what oils, essential oils you used. When I use big ones like this, I don't even worry about it. I know that I'm only doing 2 batches at the moment. These are going to be put around the living room, probably on the table for Christmas dinner, along with a spray, decoration of cedar boughs, maybe some pine boughs, these little pine cones around it. These I'm going to put in to scent the bathroom. Now, like I said, 2 days to 2 weeks. You'll leave them in the bag. They'll scent. They'll soak up all the essential oil that they can. Simple, easy, homemade. Just be gentle when you toss them around. And you want them to soak for at least 2 days. And they'll be ready to be used for decorations. There you have it. 2 different ways to scent pine cones naturally. Not buy those scented ones in the store that are synthetically scented with fragrance oil. That's why the cinnamon pine cones are so ungodly strong. I don't like them. And when I get around them or the cinnamon brooms, I'll go to choking and gagging because it's synthetic. Now you can do this same procedure with making scented brooms. You can buy the brooms unscented and scent them yourself. Just, big enough bag to put the broom down in the bag and scent the broom. Simple, easy, just be careful about using the scented brooms and want to make sure that it has really absorbed all the oil in, because if you hang them on a wall, the oil can absorb into your paint and stuff. So you have to be careful where you put stuff. Like these, you're going to have to be careful, because if you put them on like a white tablecloth, be prepared. There's a good chance your tablecloth could be stained unless you position them in little bowls or so. And you want to use bowls, preferably glass. That way you can wash them safely and they won't absorb all the oils in them. Simple, easy, homemade, all natural, and you make your own scent. You choose which ones you want to use as long as you have the essential oils. If not, you can use the other method. They smell just as good. Hope this video encourages you to start making your own scented pine cones at home. If not, if you can't gather the pine cones, you can buy unscented pine cones and do it yourself. Simple, easy, homemade. Everyone, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Please remember to continue to stock up your pantries with food that will nourish and sustain you. medicinals that will heal you. You could actually make these pine cones medicinal, especially if using the essential oils. You could use eucalyptus and tea tree. Just make sure that people are not allergic to it. I know people who are highly allergic to both eucalyptus and tea tree oil. Protection of all kinds, and above all else, the bare essentials to survive on. Everyone, stay safe, stay sound. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Yule. Everyone, take care. And remember, this is the holiday season. Spread love and joy and not hate wherever you can. Everyone, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. May you each be blessed. Hoot, hoot. Love y'all. See you soon.